Hi, Mike Gallant here with a quick video tutorial on how to prepare audio files to upload to the Boss RC30 looper using the Audacity audio editing software. Now this should be straightforward, but there is a problem with it, and the problem has to do with this little menu item down here, the project rate. When you resample a audio file using Audacity, you have to remember to change the project rate as well as resampling the file, and it's failing to do that that's causing a lot of people problems. So if you've been struggling to do this, that may be enough to sort out your problem, but in case it's not, I will go through the process of preparing a file to be uploaded to the Boss RC30. So I've got a project I'm going to use. For example, it's called dummy file AUP. So this could be any audio file that Audacity can read: an MP3, a WAV, a FLAC, and it reads quite a few other formats as well. So when you've uploaded your file, and I'm assuming that it's already prepared, that you have a single track or a stereo pair that you want to put onto your looper to play, right? What we have to do is to make sure that our file is in the right format for the RC30, because the RC30 will only take files in one particular format, and that is a 16-bit WAV file at a sample rate of 44.1 kilohertz or 44100 hertz. Right? So what we have to do is to put our audio file in that format, and then we can use the Boss Tone Studio in order to upload the file onto the RC30 so that we can play it in the looper and play along with it. Okay, so the first step that we have to do is to change the sample rate. Now you can see in my file that's 96,000 hertz. A lot of files, if you downloaded something from YouTube using our free YouTube downloader, it'll probably be at 48 kilohertz, and the RC30 won't play WAV files with that sample rate. So to change the sample rate, we have to do two things. The first thing we have to do is to go into the Tracks menu and resample, right? And we select the sample rate of 44,100, okay, and click OK. You saw a very quick change there. With a larger file, it might take 5 minutes or something to resample the whole file. Depends how long your file is. As you can see, with a short little file like this, it's almost instant. So now it's showing that we have a stereo sample at 44,100 hertz. It could, I believe, be a mono sample as well. The crucial thing is that it's at 44,100. Now, you might think that we've sorted out the sample rate, and I think this is certainly the mistake that I made, and that I think a lot of other people have been making. If you now save this track as a 16-bit WAV file and you try and load it into your RC30, it won't work. It won't play. When you try and play back the track, it will upload using the Boss Tone Studio. That doesn't do anything to check whether the files it's importing are in the right format. It just uploads them onto the RC30, and when you then select the track and hit the play pedal, it won't play. It'll just show UF for unrecognized format. And the reason is that we still, down here, we have a thing that labeled the project rate, and that, even though we've resampled the data, is still showing as 96,000. And when you export this WAV data, even though it says that it's at 44,100, it will save it at 96,000. The remedy is very simple. you have to select 44 1000 there as well. Okay, and that's the problem. That's what's making these files fail, and you have to be aware of the need to change this as well. It's not obvious at all. You would expect that when you resample your file it would change the project rate, but it doesn't. So you have to do that manually. Right? Having done that, we now need to address the sample depth. Right? This is the frequency, the rate of sampling, but we also have to deal with the depth of sampling, and that can be 8-bit, it can be 16-bit, it can be 24-bit, or it can be a 32-bit sample. The RC30 requires it to be a 16-bit sample. Now whatever sample size you start with, whether it's 8-bit or 24-bit or 16-bit, when you load it into Audacity, Audacity will convert it to a 32-bit float and use that for processing, because that gives the best quality with its processing. So we don't need to change that at this point. When we save the file, when we export this data into WAV format, it will change that. So we are ready to export. This is how you get your data into the WAV format, and if it's already as a WAV, you really you need to use this. Well, you may not, but I would use the export in order to make sure that you get the data in the right format. So export as WAV, and there are 3 options with WAV. You've got Microsoft Sign 16-bit, Microsoft Sign 24-bit, and Microsoft 32-bit float. Well, the only one that will work with the RC30 is the 16-bit. This is why I would say export it as a WAV, even if you have it. You may get the option to save it as a 16-bit, but if you just click save, it may well save it. If you were in a 24-bit WAV, for example, it might as well save it as that. So by going to export, we get this menu. We know that we can export it as a 16-bit PCM, and we hit save, and it asks me, because I've already saved it with that name, it asks me if I want to replace it. Yes, I do. Now the next menu you get when you save is this metadata tags menu. Right, now you do want to look at these and make sure basically that you don't have any metadata there. Not all metadata will cause a problem, but some metadata fields can cause a problem with the RC30. If you have anything other than this artist name, track title, album title, track number, year, genre, comments, so if I have one here, I don't know, notes, say, that could potentially cause a problem with the RC30. I don't know if it would. It doesn't like some meta tags, I know that from my researches. So if you have extra ones, just remove them. If you have something in here, well, the RC30 won't display this data, so suppose your tracks by Adele, I don't know, it could be, you've got some information in here, you can use the clear on any one that's got some information to clear it. When you've done all that, ignore this save. That's not talking about saving the file. This is all talking about saving and loading metadata if you want to save some sort of template or save it for use separately. So we just want to save the file, so we go down here to OK, click on OK, and it saved my file. Right. That's basically all you have to do. Obviously you have to remember where you saved it. You can look in recent files and it will give you, so mine was in saved in users. I've got dummy file WAV, right, so now I know where it is. I can now start the Boss Tone Studio and use that to upload that file onto my RC30, and everything will go fine. As I say, if you have problems doing it, make sure that you've saved in the way exported to Microsoft Wave 16-bit PCM. Make sure you've resampled to 44100 and make sure you've changed the project rate as well before you save. If you follow those steps, then your file should load fine into the RC30 and should play perfectly well. I hope this is some help. It certainly took me a while to find out how to do this. Cheers. Bye.